Welcome to Running on Ice, the coolest community in freight. I'm your host, Mary O'Connell, bringing you the latest tech updates, warehouse news, and everything happening in the cold chain world. Not only is there the coolest show in freight, but there's also Running on Ice, the newsletter that could not be colder. You can subscribe to that on freightwaves.com/runningonIce. Today we welcome Martin Hawes, the head of product development at Tower Cold Chain. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you very much, Mary. Pleasure to be here.
I am kind of excited about today because we get to talk about a fun new product, which is always one of my favorite things to do because, I don't know, I'm just very fascinated by some of the new products in the cold chain world. But before we get too far into that, let's get some background on you and how you got started at Tower Cold Chain.
Right. Well, I am a chartered engineer with about 30 years experience in manufacturing industry. I've typically been involved in product process design, development, and innovation. I started out as a graduate in the food and beverage packaging industry in research developing, essentially developing manufacturing systems for new products. Moved into the toy industry over in Asia with Mattel Toys, and then came back to the UK working in the pharmaceutical, construction, and consumer products industries. I joined Tower about 3 years ago during COVID, which was an experience in itself, as you say, as the global head of product development, virtually everything online, which, happily we're not there anymore, but it has a significant bearing on the business and the success of the business because we did ship an awful lot of those vaccines around the world. And now I'm enjoying being a part of the pharmaceutical cold chain logistics industry.
First of all, that is quite a ride to go all the way from like toys to pharmaceutical. What a switch. What a switch.
There was construction products was actually concrete in the middle as well. So, it's a varied background.
What else doesn't make, nothing makes more sense than the toy to construction material to pharmaceutical pipeline.
I used to say I went from, beer cans to Barbie dolls to Boots the chemist, pharmaceuticals, construction. Yeah, and then I lost the B after that. So
hey, it just makes you more of like a well-rounded jack of all trades, if you will.
Absolutely, yes, very, very much so. And to be fair, when joining the industry, it's always you're a little apprehensive about joining and new industry, new technologies. But you find very quickly that it's the same old problems from a manufacturing and product design standpoint. So it was nice to be able to fit in pretty quickly and hopefully bring some value to the industry as well.
Yeah, there's no matter what industry, it does seem to be universally, okay, we all kind of have the same set of problems. It's just slightly tweaked based off whatever we're selling. But one of the solutions that you guys have is the new KTEvolution 12. Can you kind of break down what that is and why it's kind of a big deal for the pharmaceutical and, cold chain world?
Absolutely. The KTEvolution 12 is a 12-litre solution, 12-litre product space. It's Tower's smallest cold chain container, following in the footsteps of the hugely successful KTEvolution 26 and 57, which were launched a couple of years ago and are now being used globally for the transport of pharmaceutical products. Its 12-litre product size was really aimed at the clinical trials, cell and gene therapy, direct-to-patient markets, predominantly because of its size, but we also wanted to make it a really easy-to-use container, but have significant sustainability credentials and answer a lot of, I think, the problems that the industry has with packaging in that space. So we started off with a target of designing something that we thought was truly groundbreaking and hopefully a disruptor in the pharma small box market. It's probably, as you know, I think it's the market is dominated by single-use and limited-use solutions. I think over 60% of all small box cold chain shipments are done in single-use systems, which creates an inordinate amount of waste. And I must admit, when I joined the business, I was horrified really to find out that literally tens of millions of tons of waste are created by these solutions every year. And there has to, in the same way that we've got rid of single-use plastics in many areas of our lives, we have to do the same thing for single-use packaging, or at least reduce it to sensible levels. So yeah, we think the KTEvolution 12 addresses a lot of these sustainability issues, whilst delivering pretty much the ultimate in product protection. One of the things that's absolutely key and first and foremost in our minds is that we protect our customers' products that they ship. And what we wanted to do was be able to create a long life solution that's fully reusable without really compromising in terms of performance, whether that be weight or volume. So yeah, we're pretty pleased with what we've been able to come up with.
I think you should be a little bit more than pretty pleased. I think you should be pretty ecstatic. I mean, it's something that we've talked about on this show a lot, and that is kind of, there is that huge issue in cold chain specifically, and like parcel and anything that ships parcel or relatively smaller, is that it is very difficult to get them, shipped and stay at a certain temperature. And there's pretty much anything that can reduce the amount of those like gel packs that aren't recyclable or good for the environment in any way, shape, or form, and are more often like single use. Anything to kind of reduce the dependency on those is a win for me, because honestly, the gel packs are very handy, but then they're handy like when you have a couple that you can like toss in a cooler to go somewhere. But for the most part, like it's not. That's kind of the extent of it, because like any puncture, anything, they're suddenly unusable, and anything you have in there is potentially contaminated. But on this, but this is the thing that's most exciting to me is that, like you said, you guys are geared more perfectly more perfect for for gene therapies and like kind of those clinical trials, because there is so many drugs that are in clinical trials and different phases of approval in other areas that do require such extreme temperatures for transportation, because the medicine is getting so advanced and these therapies and cures are getting more advanced. So with, I think, the rising demand, this is just kind of happens. I'm sure it wasn't a coincidence that you guys happened to come out with it at the exact perfect time.
Absolutely. I think if you go back probably 20 years, the small box market was literally expanded polystyrene foam boxes with ice packs inside. Now we've come a long way since then with engineered phase change materials to deliver the specific temperature ranges. The amount of temperature, or the breadth of temperature ranges, has been significantly expanded. And the time and the compliance time in terms of being able to get a product from one part of the globe to another within the supply chains available has meant that there's an awful lot of engineering, but I think gone into these products. But what's happened is, if you look sort of over the last 5 to 10 years, the types of packaging solutions available really haven't changed that much. As I say, they tend to be largely based on even more engineered but single-use engineered solutions and limited reuse systems, which don't tend to be particularly robust. And the few robust solutions that are out there in the market tend to be very heavy or very large. And again, then the customer don't want to pay for that penalty. So the real challenge is to come up with something that ticks all the boxes in terms of weight and volume, but is robust and has a true sort of 5 to 10 year life. That's the real design challenge. And yeah, I think as I say, I think we've ticked those boxes with new KTEvolution 12.
I think you guys have as well. The one thing that I saw about the KTEvolution 12 is that is it technically a phase change material that sits inside of it?
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
And because I wanted to say it's like an ice pack, but no, it's fancier. It's much fancier and much better and much cooler.
An engineered ice pack. Yeah.
But it's in a pyramid shape. Is there a reason you guys chose the pyramid shape for that?
Yes, the new world is pyramid shaped. So absolutely. So as we've talked about, the sort of small box market at the moment traditionally uses a 6-plate system. So there's 6 sides to a cube. Most suppliers want to keep a single plate and a single plate size. So what you end up with is 6 identical plates, typically square, and that gives you a cube, which is okay, but is not necessarily the best for the logistics world. The second thing is, ideally what you want to be able to do is fully encapsulate the product space with phase change material, hence the six plates and the 6 sides. But that has problems in the sense that you have all the joins between the individual plates. So we started off by saying, well, how do we reduce the number of plates? That would inherently reduce the number of joins between the plates and therefore improve the system by having more phase change material. So it would be nice to have a single plate. Obviously, not really possible to get your product inside or out. You could have a 2-plate system, sort of clamshell type arrangement. Not too bad, but generally, unless you've got tapers, it makes it very difficult to manufacture the containers for that. It means they're not stackable, so they take up lots of space in warehousing and storage. So we came up with a 3-plate solution. Doesn't really work from an engineering or mathematical perspective. So we came up with a 4-plate pyramid system, and there are a number of advantages to that. So first of all, it uses less plastic, more sustainable than a traditional 5 or 6 or 7-plate system. It also improves the distribution of the PCM around the product itself. So what we've been able to do is actually have more phase change material on the top and the bottom of the product and less on the sidewalls. And that's quite important in terms of the efficiency of the system. Most small boxes, the weak spot in the thermal performance is around the lid of the container. So what happens is if you've got heat ingress or essentially heat leaving the system in a cold environment, what happens is it gets through the thermal protection at the lid and it immediately hits the join in the phase change material plates. So with a pyramid system, what we've done is disassociated the join of the plates so that it's not around the lid and where the thermal insulation elements join up. It's now across the face of the vacuum insulation panels, essentially, that we use. So that gives a much more efficient system. It also enables energy transfer between the different sides. So you've got energy transfer between the top and the sides and the bottom and the sides. And again, that adds to a more homogeneous melting or freezing of the phase change material. And that gives a more efficient system. So generally, as I say, in a 6-plate system, if it's tested statically in an environment chamber, heat rises, the join of the solution is generally in the lid. The first of the phase change plates to melt and fail is the top plate. And then all the other 5 plates underneath that are still frozen and they're wasted weight. So we're always looking for a much more, let's say, engineered solution such that you want all of the phase change material to be melting around the same time and the same rate. And therefore you get a much more efficient and effective solution. And that does a couple of things. As I mentioned, it gives you more temperature homogeneity in the product space. So, the top corner is normally the first point of the unit that fails. So you want that happening right the way through the product space itself. It uses typically, you can look at it 2 ways. It either uses 10% less phase change material, which is 10% less weight, or it improves your compliance time by 10%. So over a traditional 6 or 7-plate solution. So yeah, we think it's a really innovative. We hope it is. It's got a patent pending on it, and it's something a little bit different, but with very good reason from an engineering perspective in the market. It looks distinctive. I'm hoping that our customers appreciate the benefits of it as much as we do. And yeah, the other great thing about it, we talked about product protection, is it's virtually impossible for the 4 plates to collapse in on each other, which can happen with 6-plate systems. So again, it gives better physical product protection. So yeah, all in all, pretty good, we think.
First of all, I love that there was a legitimate rhyme and reason. I knew it had to be a real answer versus just, I don't know, we thought pyramids were cool. Because if I learned anything with cold chain and engineering is that everything is a certain shape for a reason. But when you say that it's like kind of, I don't know, like you said, like virtually indestructible compared to the 6-plate system, did you guys have to test? Did you guys have to do like a throw it off a building or stand on it kind of test?
So we do drop test them. We try and drop test them in real life solutions. We don't expect people to throw them out of first story or second story windows. So, they're not totally indestructible. But in normal life, yeah, we're using quite a robust polyethylene blow molded bottle, and the intended life, as I say, is sort of 5 to 10 years. So these are not friable, easily breakable elements. Yeah, and they so we've drop tested a few. You have to drop test them from a pretty decent height to actually break them. So yeah.
I That's some of my favorite. Anytime someone says they like tested it for durability, that's one of my absolute favorite things because it could be like, as I've learned on the show, rugged ability means what was like a very wide category because it could literally mean, oh yeah, we kicked it off a helicopter, attached it to a parachute, and just waited to see what happened. Or we chucked it off the top of a 70-foot fireman ladder just to see what would happen. Or like, yeah, we just ran over it with someone's car. Which those are some of my favorite stories.
The yeah, logistics supply chain tend to do that for you. You know, you find with all our containers, we've had units dropped off, literally dropped off the back of an aircraft, the back of a lorry. We've had forklifts run into them at full speed. We've had lorries run into them at full speed. You know, nothing is truly indestructible, but I would say the majority of our product range and our design ethos is robust. Is the first R, robust, reliable, and reusable. So we have to try and design that into all our elements. But of course, as you said, you know, that's the individual element. When you put the solution together, then the four plates together become very, very strong because of the structural nature of it, and then they're inside an inherently rigid structure box. So yeah, when we get onto the formal testing, transit testing, ISTA testing or ASTM testing, then yeah, we've gone through those hoops as well to make sure it actually works with a customer's products.
So, are there any other capabilities? Because I know that there's kind of like an IoT aspect of things for like data logging and temperature monitoring. Is that something that you guys knew was going to be crucial to involve in this KTEvolution 12? Just because, you know, to me, it kind of seems table stakes to have some sort of visibility aspect to it.
Absolutely. So all of Tower's products essentially have an integrated data logger, but then a majority of our solutions up until a couple of years ago were pallet and sub-pallet systems, not really small box. The majority of the market, certainly the small box market, don't have integrated loggers. Occasionally, customers and end users, pharma companies, will put their own data logging solutions inside the box. The problem with that, particularly for real-time tracking, is that generally your units are sitting inside a vacuum insulation panel, which is a metallized foil over the top of the vacuum panels, which means actually communications through that is very, very difficult. So an integrated logger on the outside of the package, which monitors the ambient temperature, and then with a flying lead probe into the product temperature, a product area, you get both temperatures. You can see what's happening, but you also get potential for real-time visibility. So what we've done on our own units, and we offer this with the units that we're selling to customers, is we use the Elpro Ecolog Pro G. We've developed this solution with Elpro, who are a very well known data logging and asset tracking company. They have provided a non-lithium battery solution for us, which again is important in case the customer wants to put their own lithium-based battery solution inside the payload, and it has a 1 year battery life as well. One of the key things that we find also is for all our customers, is they really like the constant temperature display that we can get from the product. So you don't need a smartphone. You don't need to wait till the unit's got to its end destination to see what the temperature is and whether it's still within its compliance limits. Any operative in a warehouse, in a laboratory, in a hospital can quickly and easily see what the temperature is inside the product and whether it's still in its control limits. So that's really, really important. So yeah, we have designed the unit so that customers can put their own data logging solutions in. It will pretty much take any sized data logging solution on the market at the moment. Although some larger ones are coming out, I understand. But yeah, at the moment, it pretty much covers all possibilities for customers to put their own solution in. We can provide a solution. And one of the benefits with that real-time data as well is that we can start looking at simulations and real-time interventions. So we offer, through our testing regimes, we basically put a simulation on the front end of that data and enable people to then put their own ambience in and see, for a lane risk assessment, what would happen to the unit. That's done through the Tower Control Center platform that we have and offer to our customers. And also, obviously, if you know where it is and what temperature it is in real time, you can then see if it's been stuck at an airport and you need to intervene. So yeah, the new sort of explosion really in IoT and smart solutions being built into the box and the containers is a real bonus for the industry in terms of that, again, assuring customer product gets from where it needs to be to where it needs to get to within the temperature and that it needs to be at. So yeah, we're really excited. It's something that the small box market at the moment hasn't really embraced. There aren't that many solutions with an integrated logger. So again, it's another reason why when you have a robust box, you can build in this additional capability with no other penalties to the customer.
I absolutely love that because, like you said, it's something that everybody is looking for, and it has that old, like, kind of that ultimate customization ability of you can say okay, well, you already have this system integrated into your thing. Okay, you don't need to integrate ours in, just pop yours in and it's on the way, it's ready to go. And especially as a lot of these clinical trials, like we said, are reliant on knowing that their medicine and these things they're producing have to stay at a certain temperature. That's incredibly crucial because because basically in a clinical trial, like, everything has to stay the same, and if anything falls outside of temperature, well, then how does that affect the clinical trial? Can they still use it? Is that potentially going to harm somebody in the future, like harm a patient? So I love that there's that level of, like, so intense visibility.
It can, I mean, it literally, obviously, in patient-centered therapies, it is literally a life and death situation in terms of the product getting to the patient in time and within the compliance temperature. Because you're right, it may not work. So yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, product protection is everything, and then sustainability beyond that. How do we create a solution that has the ultimate in product protection, but doesn't compromise in terms of weight, volume, and all the other things that you can get if you put it in a huge steel box? So yeah, it's as I say, it's an interesting design challenge. Interestingly, you mentioned customization. We also provide these in any color you like, so we can. It was a sort of a very much a long way down the design road that when our marketing people got hold of it, they said, I know we're going to have them in Tower Blue for our lease arrangement, but if we wanted to sell these to the customers, could you do them in different colors? So you can have them in your corporate colors if you like as well.
That might be one of my favorite features of it, mostly because I would like to see a hot pink version of it.
We have actually mocked it. It was for I think it was cancer awareness charity, and we mocked up a 3D visualization in bright pink. So there you go.
I'm not surprised that somebody already requested the bright pink. That is absolutely fantastic. It's just that little touch, the little extra touch of any color of your dreams. But that being said, we are running out of time today. And Martin, you have to answer the question that everyone on the show has to answer. It could potentially be the hardest question you're asked all day. Are you ready for it?
I'm not sure. I'll give it a go.
Is cereal considered a soup?
Oh, right. One of the great debates of our age. Thanks, Mary. I confess I'm not a real strong advocate of either. However, I don't think it is a soup. I think a soup has to have one of three key ingredients, and that is either fish, meat, or vegetables. And I think, if it doesn't have any of those, it's not a soup for me.
Okay, your considerations for a soup are much laxer than mine. Mine is like it's got to have the onion, carrot, celery trio. But also cereal's not a soup. But some people have strong opinions about it.
I understand there are some significantly lengthy law papers have been written on the subject. I think there are slightly more important problems in the world at the moment, but I'm going with definitely not a soup, not in my world.
I'm glad that you see it the right way. Yeah. So if anyone wants to reach out about your soup opinions or the KTEvolution 12, where can they find you outside the show?
So I am on LinkedIn, or you can email me at martin.hawes@towercoldchain.com. And happy to answer any questions on soup or the KTEvolution range or any of Tower Cold Chain's products.
You can catch other episodes of Running on Ice right here on FreightWaves TV, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Need more Running on Ice news? No sweat. Subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/runningonIce. See you on the internet.